Hey guys, happy Tuesday evening. It's Rachel here at Wellness Institute and Fusion Fit Training and Coaching. I am hopping on here for a couple of minutes because I want to talk to you guys about some important exercises and movements and strengthening so that you guys are not feeling any pain in your knees, your low back, your hips. And if you work with me, you probably already know that I often and regularly say, squeeze your butt, squeeze your abs, pull in your abs, engage your glutes, all those terms. And it does not go away because it's so important. So glutes, abs, glutes, abs, glutes, abs, they work together in one piece. They work in tandem. So if your glutes aren't firing up, then you're gonna be compromising your posture and your form and your movement. And if your abs aren't firing up, you're gonna be compromising your form and your movement and your exercises. So what do you do to make sure, A, that you're using your glutes and abs correctly, and then B, if you're not, how do you train them? It's pretty much the same thing. You don't just wanna do crunches and sit-ups. And when I say your core, I'm not just talking about that six-pack, I'm not just talking about those obliques, I'm not just talking about the rectus, which is the outermost layer of abdominal muscles that we have. I'm talking about your deep abdominals, your transverse abdominal muscles. I'm talking about that corset essentially wraps from the spine, erectors, all the way to the front, and it essentially zips in that core to protect us. So what do we do to engage that? And along with your core, or along with that muscle, part of your core is also your pelvic floor. And that pelvic floor essentially zips up. So if you think about zipping up your pelvic floor, zipping in your transverse or your other part of your abdominal muscles, that deepest layer, the one that actually makes you look leaner by pulling it in, and then thinking about engaging your glutes about 30% right now, unless you are actually doing a full-on exercise, targeting your glutes, you should probably have about 30% glute engagement at any given time. Okay, and your abs should be slightly engaged at all times too. Okay, so thinking pulling up, pulling in, pulling up, squeezing gently. Okay, how does this apply? How do you start to apply this? There are three things that you can do. First one is an activated plank, not just hanging out in a plank, not just holding a plank. You can hold a plank for hours if you really wanted to. But I'm talking about doing a plank that you are squeezing your abs and pulling those abs in, squeezing those glutes harder than anything. Therefore, you probably can't hold that plank longer than maybe 20 to 30 seconds. Sure, we want to work up to 1 minute, but it's going to look something like this. So if we're in a plank, we can do it in a modified or regular plank, so knees or on our toes, and we're just going to hold a plank and practice pulling up and squeezing our butt. Okay, so we're in our plank here, we're just holding here, we squeeze your butt in, you pull up those abs, and you are nice and locked here. And you can hold that. So that is one exercise we can do. The other exercise we can do, exercise 2, is going to be on your back. There is a progression to this next one. There's a progression to the plank one too. We want to master being able to engage this for a solid 20 to 30 seconds, keeping everything pulled in, and then working up to a minute before we really progress on to the next exercises. The second exercise that we can start with is on your back here. You want to essentially come down to your back here. Again, zip in that corset, so pull in those abs, pull up your pelvic floor, and engage your glutes about 30%. We want to be able to hold this position. So when I say pull in those abs, if you were to put your hands on your pelvis and you were to cough, or sneeze, go ahead and cough or sneeze if you're at home. Feel that muscle. That is the muscle we are training to pull up and in. And then pulling up our pelvis, meaning is if we had to use the bathroom, how do we stop ourselves from using the bathroom? We pull up our pelvis, we pull up that pelvic floor. So that's what I'm talking about, and then glutes gently engaged, not so that we're bridging up or flattening our back, but just enough that we are able to use all three together. So we want to, again, practice mastering holding this position. Abs in, pelvic floor up, glutes slightly engaged. Then we can progress. There's multiple different progressions from marching to a different type of marching to different hollow holds and lower downs. But I don't want you to progress any of this if you can't pull that core in, pull up that pelvic floor, and engage your glutes. You should not be doing a crunch here if you're feeling it in your hip flexors. You want to be able to zip in that core to pull yourself up. If you can't zip in your core, then you should not be doing a crunch because you're just going to be straining your neck or straining your hip flexors. If you're feeling your hip flexors work when you do a crunch, try squeezing your butt a little bit and zipping your abs in. It should really help. So what's the third thing that you can do to strengthen in your stability, your core? It would be a single leg balance. There's progressions to this too, but first, making sure you can balance on the ground and on unstable surface. And when I say balance here, you don't want to be relaxed in that hip. You actually need to squeeze your butt here because otherwise your hip will sag, okay? You don't want a sagging hip. You want to be able to keep yourself level, and that takes your abs and your glutes to do that. Same thing on the other leg. The one progression I will kind of give you a little hint about is once you can do that and squeeze, then you can practice a single leg deadlift. That is why single leg deadlifts are so important. They actually train us to use all those, that core muscle, the pelvic floor, and your glutes all in one. Back and forth. These are simple exercises, simple things that's going to make you not only appear leaner and tighten that core up, but it's going to prevent you from having pain. It's going to prevent you from having any injuries in the future. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to be able to lift heavier if you use your glutes and your abs correctly. So, with that said, are you using your glutes and abs correctly? Are you engaging your core? Are you pulling everything in? Not just when you're exercising. I'm talking about throughout your day. I'm talking about when we're picking up anything, when we're picking up our kids, when we're picking up grocery bags or suitcases, any of that stuff. Anything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed is fair game. So if you guys want some help with this, my Transform in 8 program is a little more posterior chain and core directed because it's so important. We overuse the front of our body and we over accentuate the front of our body too much, and what happens is the front of us is tight and the back of us is weak. So I'm gonna help you guys correct that. If you want some more specialized training too, definitely reach out to me. If you are in the area and you want group training in person, reach out to me because we do focus on all this stuff. Today's glute workout, or today's group training workout was glute focused, and by the end of the workout, our members were definitely feeling it in their glutes in a positive, good, effective way. And I'm gonna help you do that too. Let me know if I can answer any questions. Have a great day, everybody.